I have something on my chest that I've been dying to get off my chest, and I may get hate for it, but that's fine. Why are we tipping Starbucks employees? The drinks be $1 million. The tip not included in that? Like, the drinks are overpriced, and now I have to tip you on top of that. What? Why? I'm already coming here for the expensive drink, and you want me to add a couple more dollars because you brought it to me? I don't like that.
Can someone tell me if I'm just crazy? Like, is this a new norm? I know that tipping amounts at restaurants have been going up over time. Like, I remember it being a lot lower when I was a little kid. I'm not trying to send them any hate, so I did cover the server name and restaurant with some Chipotle napkins, but 30%? This is my first time ever seeing that. And just to clarify, this was a very standard, fairly simple, just normal sit-down restaurant. There wasn't a show, there wasn't any complex food. Am I just behind the times?
I am nearly 27 years old, and today I am moving back in with my parents. This is not the plan I had for 27-year-old me, but that is just how bad the rental crisis is at the moment. I've been living on my own for the last 3 years. When I first started living on my own, I was paying $280 a week in rent. It was actually kind of fine to pay rent on my own, and I've never had like an outstanding salary. The reason why I'm moving back in with my parents is because my landlord wanted to increase my rent now to $450 a week. Now, I live in a small one-bedroom apartment in an old building. It's nothing flash. Sure, I live in a good suburb. I live in Malvern. I'm probably just paying for location, but I have to pay to do my laundry. There's cracks in the walls. Like, it's nothing flashy. Like, it's not worth $450 a week. That's like $2,000 a month. What are people supposed to do? I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful that I can move back in with my parents, but not everyone can do that. So what's your alternative? Like, you're homeless? The thing that really grinds my gears is that I am 99% sure that my landlord does not have a mortgage on this place, so that can't even be an excuse for landlords on here. She's owned this place since about 1980, and I know for a fact she has 2 investment properties. So she's just making money off what she can from the market. And I was like, there is no way I can afford this. And I have been an outstanding tenant, like outstanding. Rent's never been late. My inspections are always absolutely spotless. I've never caused any issues. And this is why my generation can't get ahead, why we can't buy houses. Like, I've been paying 20 grand a year in rent. But if I went to go get a house loan, they wouldn't see that as, oh, she can pay 20 grand a year. No, I have no savings because of how much I've been paying in rent and bills. That's why my parents were like, move home, save that money and try and get ahead. I'm so grateful. I love my family, and I don't have any issues moving back home with them. I do have an issue with the fact that they live over the other side of Geelong, and I'm still going to be traveling to Melbourne for work. So that's going to be so much fun. But what do people do? I'm so lucky I have such a great family that I can move back in with. But what's the alternative? Homelessness? Like, the government really needs to get on top of this, because honestly, the state of the rental market at the moment is absolutely fucked.
The cost of renting has hit a new record high. The average across the country is now more than $600 a week. The latest data from CoreLogic indicates there's been a rapid rise in the population since the end of 2022. Fewer people living together in share accommodation has also contributed to a significant rise in prices. The most expensive place to rent is Sydney, followed by Canberra, then Perth.
We are living under the poverty line. We're living under every poverty line. We can't survive. We are being driven into homelessness. $9 per fortnight increase in Commonwealth rent assistance alongside rent hikes in the highest inflated market in the country right now, that of housing and rentals. There is no way you're not driving homelessness of Australian citizens by ignoring the rate of job seeker.
You've done a couple of things, but there's always a desire for more. Is it particularly hard at the moment? Because you represent really disadvantaged people.
Yeah, and that's why in the budgets that I've handed down, we've found billions of dollars to try and strengthen job seeker or Commonwealth rent assistance or energy bill relief. The increase in Commonwealth rent assistance since we've come to office is about $60 a fortnight. About 40 of that is policy decisions, about 20 of it's indexation. Job seekers about 120 a fortnight. Only about a third of that is our policy decision, 2/3 of that is indexation. And I know that there is an appetite to go further than that.
You're not going to announce going further now, but can we just get some clarity? Do you have a desire to go further on JobSeeker?
What happens when we sit down and we put budgets together is we work out what is the best, most meaningful, most responsible way to help people. And in the budget last year, the JobSeeker increase and rent assistance. This time around, rent assistance, energy bill relief and cheaper medicines. And so we are always looking for ways to help people, especially people who are most vulnerable.
Okay, I took my parents out to eat last night, and I've got to tell you what took place because it still has me a little bothered today, I have to admit, because we were seated at a table, and have you ever been seated at a table and it's wet? I mean, I don't know for whatever reason it's wet, but the table was wet. So when the waitress came over, all I said is, excuse me, before you take our orders, can you get something to dry the table? Because the table's like really wet. And she kind of looked at me for a second and went, sure, like that. And I thought, oh, please let this not be a miserable experience. So she goes over, grabs a towel and, real quickly, dries it up. And she goes, how's that? And I said, it seems fine. Thank you. And she goes, oh, what can I start you guys with? And I said, I'll have lemonade and my parents both want tea. And she goes, okay. Our special today is, I don't even remember what she said. And we were like, okay. So we're looking through the menu and everything else. And she comes over with the drinks and she gives my parents tea and she gives me 7-Up. And I said, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me. I said, this isn't lemonade. And she goes, well, you wanted 7-Up. I said, no, I really said lemonade. And she gave me an eye roll. She kind of rolled her eyes and went, exasperated, and I'm thinking, this is not going well. And normally I would have just gotten up at that time, but, my parents were there. I didn't want to, cause inconvenience. So I just kind of bit my lip and just went on with the meal. So, of course, we get to the meal part, the food is fine. My parents split a sandwich. I got a sandwich, a nice salad. Everything was fine. So I see her walking by and I do one of these. Check thing. You ever just write in the air like that as, check, bring me the check. So she comes over with the check and I look at the check and I notice that it has an 18% gratuity already added in. It's already in. After the food, taxes, there's 18% already added into the whole bill. So I'm like, okay, I don't know why they do that, but I didn't think much of it. Put my credit card down. Off she goes. She comes back and she hands back my credit card and she hands me back the bill and says, you have a good day, even though you made sure I didn't. And I said, excuse me. And she goes, oh, nothing, sir, nothing. Have a good day. I go, no, what? Ma'am, what is the problem? And she goes, you're allowed to not tip if you don't want to. I said, I did tip. And she goes, no, you didn't. And now I'm fit to be tied at this point. And I said, ma'am, there is an 18% automatic gratuity. Well, yeah, there's that, but I got nothing else, did I? And she walks away from me. Yes, that is exactly how it happened. And of course, my mom and dad are just looking at me and I'm like, have you ever seen anything like that in your life? Yeah. And people wonder why people aren't going out to restaurants now. I can tell you right now, I'm in no hurry to go out to a restaurant again. Like and follow and let me know if you've had something happen like this because it's morning and I'm still angry about last night. I'm still PO'd.
Five Guys just asked me if I wanted to tip. Mind you, I just came in and got my own food. How much do you think I paid? Okay, I got a bacon cheeseburger, a strawberry milkshake, and fries, right? A little fry. That's what they call them. A little fry that's all over the bottom of my bag. For $26.07. I could have went to the grocery store. I should have went to the grocery store. I'd have had burgers and fries and milkshakes probably all damn week. And they asked me if I wanted to leave a tip.
Okay, so Monday, I order a couple lunches for work. One's 20 people, one's 25 people. Okay? I text, confirm, they text back, 10-4 rubber ducky, we got it. Two of us leave work to go and get it because they're going to separate places. People are meeting in different areas. And it's not ready. Okay? He's like, I didn't get a text. I pull up the text messages, show him, blah, blah, blah. Okay? They're like, can you wait? We'll get it done. I'm like, 45 sandwiches and soup, and okay, whatever, we're fine, we'll wait, right? So we wait. No offer of a drink, no discount, no free lunch while we're sitting there for 45 minutes waiting, nothing, okay? And on top of that, they have patrons who are coming in and they're telling the patrons that the holdup is us. Don't tell them the holdup is me, okay? Ordered 4 days ago. 4 days ago when you confirmed, so I don't know what happened, okay? Bill comes to $1,000. It's fine. I used to serve, okay, as a single mom. So let's get that out in the open, that I used to live working part-time off of my tips, okay? So I totally get tipping. I like tipping. I do tip. I do not tip when my order wasn't even ready when I pre-ordered it. Like, there was a reason that I pre-ordered it. Tip is to ensure prompt service. I didn't get prompt service. I didn't want to tip the 15%, but I was forced to. And it's made me so furious that my non-cooking butt is going to learn how to, because I'm done eating out at restaurants. It's ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do anything. When I go to a restaurant, I go there to be served. Now, granted, I don't need you to bend over and kiss my butt. What I do need you to do is bring me my food. And I'm one of those people that never complain about anything. Even if I get something that I absolutely hate, I'll just never go back to that restaurant and not say a dang word. People dislike that. Owners dislike that. Servers do not. I never complain about anything. I never say nothing about nothing. I'm easy to get along with. And I tip very well all the time if I get good service. But I'm being forced and I don't like it. And it's crap. And it's crap that we have to do it. And here's the thing. I come from BC and I know dang well that BC just brought their servers up to the minimum wage. Now everybody gets a living wage. It doesn't matter. So why am I having to tip? No choice. 15%.
Tipping culture is out of control. This is a list of people I'm not tipping in 2024, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm not tipping at the drive-thru. I'm not tipping for Froyo. I'm not tipping for Auntie Anne's. Yes, they ask for tips there now. And I'm not tipping on to-go orders. And I know the hostesses have such a huge problem. It's my opinion. And yes, I have been a hostess and a server in a past life. Anyone who sets their own prices, I will absolutely not be tipping you. The whole point of tipping a service professional is that you're paying the business like double or triple what the employee is actually making during that service. So if you're both the business and the servicing employee, why would I pay more on top of that if you're going to obtain the full 100% of what I pay? Doesn't make any sense. If you need a medical qualification or license in order to administer the service to me, I'm not giving you a tip. It goes against the code of ethics to accept tips for these types of procedures. So
this is a very clear indication of why I pick up my own food. Just delivering your pizza here, you wanted a contactless delivery, and that's fine.
Did you just smell my pizza?
But it says on the app here, you only left me a 15% tip.
For bringing my pizza half a block? You're lucky I left that.
That's not really cool these days.
Did you know that 57% of Americans tip between 0 and 15%? Think about that for a second.
Everyone knows these days it's 25% tips and up.
I don't know what Simpsons episode you live in, but it ain't mine.
For tips, 25% and up.
No.
So what I've been doing is kind of do the education. Is anyone who doesn't tip enough, I just give them a little bit of education.
Probably best that you don't, because, well, waste of your time, and honestly, I don't give a shit.
So 1 second here.
Now you're wasting both of our time. I'm gonna fast forward this part because it just gets more annoying.
Yeah. Alright, well.
So here's the part that would really piss you off.
Here's your contactless delivery. I'm just gonna leave it right here for you. Hey, get that drain fixed, yo.
So you leave a 15% tip, and you still get a wet pizza. I know I'm ragging on it right now. And to be honest, there's people out there that really live off of their tips. And when I go to restaurants and I see that tip function, I pay the best I can for my meal or whatever it is. I think that we're just being bombarded by the fact that it is no longer optional. It is mandatory. And not only mandatory, it's everywhere. So it's getting harder and harder to be the type of person that wants to really tip for the sole fact that we got a good service. Now we're just tipping because we're forced to do it.
So tipping is just getting out of control. I was just at Starbucks picking up a coffee in the drive-thru, and I get to the front and I'm paying, and he's like, "Oh, I was just going to ask you a quick question." And we all know what that means. Tipping, fine, but what am I tipping for? If I have to tip for this, like, what's next? Yeah, nurse, looks like we got him back. Hey, Johnny, good to see you. Hey, before we hook you up to the ventilator, it's just gonna ask you a quick question.
Now, I'm not one to get political, but the cost of living crisis is getting out of control, and it didn't really hit me until I came to my local barber in Campsie where haircuts are now $10. I've been getting my fade here from a lovely Chinaman since they were $7 haircuts, and I copped the price increase to $8 in 2022, but since then the price has skyrocketed from $9 haircuts to now $10 haircuts in 2025. With the election on this year, Albo Dudden, if you want to get my vote, how about we address the cost of living for Aussies and the cost of a fade here in Sydney, because $10 for a haircut is outrageous. Back to you in the studio.
So living out here in Australia is crazy. Let me show you. 30 cans of Coke for $50. This block of cheese, nearly $14. $4.90 on offer for chocolate. No thanks. $7 just for some milk. How am I going to survive out here?
I wish I could be proud to be Australian. Look, don't get me wrong, I am proud to be Australian. It is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. The people here are amazing. But with the rising house costs, the cost of living skyrocketing, and inflation fucking up everything, no one can live sustainable. I remember being a kid and $100,000 a year was like, you've fucking made it. You were living in a nice house on the water, had boats, jet skis, $100,000 a year. You can't even fucking make it by with that anymore. For example, today I was at Woolworths, and this poor lady, she would have been in her 30s, and she had 3 kids with her, and she was paying for $20 worth of food to feed her family with fucking 5-cent coins, sitting there counting them one by one. 5-cent coins. We're meant to be the fucking lucky country. Shit like that shouldn't be around. Shit like that shouldn't be happening. It's just beyond fucked. The cost of living has fucked up everything, and it's just slowly getting worse and worse. That's why the second I get a chance, I'm going to make as much money as I fucking can online, and I'm going to fuck off until shit sorts itself out. Because at the way it's going, we're all going to be fucked.
$10.90 for a block of cheese. $4.23 for a couple of tomatoes. $3.70 for the cheap lettuce. $3.60 for literally the supermarket brand cheapest wholemeal bread. $6 for a plain packet of butter. That is $28.43 just to make a plain sandwich. No meat, just cheese, tomatoes and lettuce. Our community is doing it tough every day at the checkout. And what is this government actually doing about it? Apparently not a thing. They know what the problems are. Still nothing. The government needs to break up Coles and Woolworths. These massive corporations are making millions in profits while people have to make the choice between starve or pay their exorbitant rent. Now, one of the reasons Coles and Woolworths gets away with ripping us off is because either directly or through third parties, they donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Liberal and Labour parties in the last decade alone. Well, look where that has got us. $28 just to make a sandwich.
I did a $900 grocery shop today, $909 to be exact. And you know what gets me? You know what gets me about this? People say cost of living, but this is just how much it costs me to feed my children for a fortnight. And yes, I made the decision to have 4 children and 2 cats. But the fact that like 2-3 years ago I could feed them for $400 a fortnight and now it's costing this much shows me just how much it's going up. When I was 18, it cost $1 for a loaf of bread. I just paid $5.70 for a loaf of bread. I had to get 2 loaves of bread. 3 liters of milk was $7. And I live in the country, so I have to stock up. There's no other choice. Otherwise, I have to go to IGA, which is 20 minutes away from me, and I pay like triple what I would pay at Aldi and Coles. So it was $570 at Aldi and the rest was at Coles. And the thing that gets me is this isn't even the cost of living. It's the cost of breathing. You have to eat to breathe to survive. And I don't understand how we can talk about everything else that's going on in the world right now, but we can't talk about how we can't subsidize groceries for everyday Australians when there's mining companies, when there's gas companies, oil companies that aren't even being taxed or like taxed insignificantly compared to what their profits are. Is it just me or does anyone else really fearful? Like, are you fearful for the future? I'm fearful. Like, what are my kids going to do when they turn 18? How are they going to live? I don't know. There's nothing special in this grocery shop. It's just the basics.
If you're planning to move to Australia, I believe it's important for you to know that Australia is in the middle of housing and cost of living crisis. I don't usually talk about this because it's really stressful, but I think it's important for you to know and consider this before you make any decision. The cost of goods are going up because of inflation, but what's hurting the most is the endless interest rate hikes. Whether you're paying a mortgage or rent, the interest rates went so high that people are paying more than $1,000 a month on their mortgage repayments or their rent. At the start of 2022, we were paying $3,600 a month, and now we're close to paying $5,000 each month on our mortgage repayments. And there's a lot of us who are on the same boat. Even landlords are unable to keep up that they need to increase their rental fees. Hearing stories of people who are now paying $300 more a week on their rent. $300 a week, that's $1,200 a month. God. Whilst some people are able to manage this crisis, some are unable to and are forced out of their property. I don't mean to stress or scare you. I'm just telling you the current situation. So before you go here, please do your research and secure your accommodation if you can. If you can stay with a friend or a family member, that would be good because it's very hard to find a rental property, especially near the city, and it's very expensive. I hope you like this content and I hope you're not confused.
TikTok, I'm going to tread very lightly when it comes to this subject. Stay with me because I'm very confused. Please, please, please be very nice in the comments because I just need support, understanding, and answers. I was under the impression back in 2001, 2005, 2010, 2011, my point, that there was a huge difference between what the staff was getting paid as opposed to what minimum wage was, right? So anybody working in a restaurant, they were underpaid considering what minimum wage was. And they were, but the range isn't as far off as I thought. So 2025, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments because I don't want to be ignorant about it, but I think that there's a gap, and I believe the wait staff is getting paid at minimum wage. Now here's the side of the pub. Get mad. So the impression, my understanding, the start because the wage longer than so help me out. Help because everybody in Canada 100% saying culture it's just like take out thing statistician hairdresser totally under total and reason create to gap in what you minimum wage, but urging against pay the minimum. Why is 25 suggest on my absolutely that very
So from here on out, I am officially done tipping. I told you guys I went to the med spa today and got what I usually get done. My Botox, filler here and here. And I didn't get anything in my lips. And then as I'm checking out, she flips around the screen for me to pay, and there was an option for tipping. Tipping the person who does a medical, basically medical, right, procedure. I literally I didn't know what to do because I go to the same place all the time. And there was like no skip button. I had to literally enter 0. And that's exactly what I did. So I entered 0 and I felt no shame. I actually felt quite proud. And then I walked out. And same goes for any other place that I go to. If I'm going into an establishment where I am getting my own frozen yogurt and I'm serving myself, I'm not tipping. Don't expect a tip. If I am going anywhere, Chipotle, not that I eat out, but I went to Kava the other day for the first time. Really good, super good. And they wanted a damn tip. And now there's literally no option to skip anymore. It's either like 15, 20, 25, 30%, or you have to manually enter 0. So I've just been manually entering 0 and loving it. And I feel no shame. I wish I still went to Starbucks because I would do the same damn thing there too. Any coffee shop for that matter, unless I'm sitting down and you are serving me. Why am I tipping you? I don't understand. Thank God I don't eat out or get my nails done anymore, because I would probably be like ostracized from any of these establishments because I refuse to tip. So, who would I tip? Let me think. I guess if I went to a restaurant and the service was very good and the waiter did a great job and had a great attitude and the food was good and everything was great, sure, I would leave you a 25% tip. But I don't eat out, so I don't have that problem. Also for hairdressers, not that I go and get my hair done often, they set their own prices. And the girl I used to go to, yes, I said girl again, sorry if that offends any of you, she totally fucked up my hair, as we know. So I will call her a girl because I don't even know if she's a hairstylist. She would set her own price and half the time would change it at the end of the session. So I got into the habit of asking the day before what my total is going to be. And then she would also want an astronomical tip. So I am so glad I don't have to deal with going to get my hair done or my nails done, or I'm so glad that I don't eat out. I'm surprised I'm at my daughter's gym right now. I'm surprised the gym instructors don't have a little tablet where they want me to add a tip at the end when we leave. I've